Lord Roy of Luptonshire is back in the room.
Yes, thank you. There's no milk there, darling.
We catch up with him as he catches up with a rogue fox. Release the hounds. We look at the sport of hound trailing and are these Britain's fittest dogs? Welcome to Fieldsports Britain. We are at Roy Lupton's to see if everything is normal, just as it should be. Falcons, check. Orphan deer in cage, check. Year-old fallow doe in kitchen, check.
Well, no, the Lupton household never changes, does it? Apart from becoming slightly more bizarre. I always enjoyed reading about Gerald Durrell's exploits and escapades, and I feel that this household is turning into somewhat of a mirror image of my family and other animals, because we have now got 2 deer living in. Well, Cooch doesn't live in all the time now, she only comes to visit, and she's living out in the paddocks outside. But we've ended up with another fallow fawn as well. Again, another well-meaning member of the public picked her up as a fawn and brought her in. 99.9% of the time, the best thing to do is leave them alone, because the mother obviously drops them and then moves off and then comes back to feed them intermittently. Now, the unfortunate thing about rearing deer fawns is where they do tend to butt you to try and get milk. Yes, thank you. There's no milk there, darling. Now we've raised 2, or we're in the process of rearing the second one. It's unbelievable how very different they are in personality. Being a prey animal, you don't really credit them with being that majorly different in personality, but they certainly are. Cooch is a little bit unhappy at the moment. We just put a new piece of furniture in. It's just unnerved her a little bit, and she's not sure, and she didn't want to come past it. So again, having or living around them and seeing what deer do and how deer react, it really is fascinating just how they do take different stimuli.
So that's his domestic deer taken care of. What about those birds? Most of his young brood has gone, but he does have a few still finding their lethal feet.
Most of the falcons have been shipped off now, so things are starting to quieten down, and it's about time that we went out and started creating a little bit of havoc with the fox population and maybe get out and do some stalking, hopefully. These 2 are 50-50 Albitus cross Finnish type goshawks, and they've got the white gene in them, so I'm very pleased with the way they've turned out. Once they molt out again, they should hopefully look even prettier. What I'm hoping to achieve is a certain wing beat. The mother of the hawk at the back there has got a very, very fast wing beat. She wasn't the smartest of birds, but she had a very, very good, fast, clippy wing beat, and it was incredibly quick on wing game. So I'm hoping we might see those traits coming out in her. As soon as the game season starts, we should be out for some fun. This one is a young female Ger peregrine. David was asking a bit earlier, because obviously their heads are incredibly mobile, and when you see her sort of checking everything out, turning her head upside down and what have you, the reason their heads are so mobile is because their eyes are so large and they take up such a large proportion of their skull. The only way that they can get a proper look at things is to have a very movable or a very mobile head, so they can get a proper look and focus in on things.
Now, of course, we haven't seen him for a while and he hasn't been out much, so he needs to get some stuff off his chest. Why don't you lie down on the Fieldsports couch, Roy, and tell us all about it?
Well, it is now time to don the hat again. It is that time of year that we start going out and hopefully accounting for all the foxes that we haven't accounted for the last few months. Now, obviously we've got quite a unique property here in that we've got lots of different things nesting. So instead of having the time for shoot this year, what I decided to try and do was supplementary feed. A lot of organisations and wildlife charities recommend supplementary feeding in a way to hopefully prevent predators such as foxes from eating all your ground nesting birds, etc. So I thought we would give it a go this year, because I don't think in life it's fair to discount any theory without giving it a fair chance. So every day throughout the breeding season, what we've been doing is we've been putting the waste food out for the foxes. But still, even though we have been providing that, we have lost more of our peacock broods and more of our duck broods this year than ever before when I've been up and doing fox control throughout the season. So it really just goes to show that it doesn't matter how much food and how much supplementary feeding the foxes are getting, it's still within their instinct to hunt, and it's still within their instinct to kill. And I suppose that's no different. I shouldn't be surprised really, because it's no different to the pet cats that a lot of us keep indoors. Although they're being fed sufficiently, they still have got that hunting drive to go out and kill. And this is what we see. They are just still killing everything that they come across, because it's within their nature, it's inbuilt within them. Whether or not they're taking it away and stashing it, or whether or not they're taking it directly to their cubs to feed them, there was still enough food, or sufficient food and a varied amount of food to supply as many cubs as they could have reared. And yet still we saw massive losses. And I think this is one of my main bugbears. Especially, I've been watching. I was watching Spring Watch earlier on in the year, and when you see a reserve, as the RSPB have got, trying to preserve the avocet, which is one of their premier species, as it features in their logo, in their emblem, and yet still an organisation like that is still happy to sit back and allow blackback gulls, I'm not sure if they were greater or lesser blackback gulls, predate to such an extent that the avocets didn't fledge a single chick. Bearing in mind that was, I think, 20%. I think it was 10 or 20% of the breeding the national breeding population of avocets there, and they didn't manage to fledge a single chick. And again, it just, I find it very tiring. Time and time again, you're seeing organisations like this that have got a non-interference policy, and I'm afraid this is what we're going to see, just catastrophic failure time and time again.
OK, time for some therapy. We are literally 200 metres from his aviaries, and a quick speculative squeak brings 3 sets of eyes charging towards us.
Oh my God, there's 3 coming.
3?
Yeah. Well, that was quite interesting. We just started off on the field opposite, and straight away we've got 3 foxes coming to the call. Now, we'll just turn round, get in a position where we can take a shot, and hopefully account for the first one of the evening.
Tonight he's using his rebarreled 22-250 in the Dronepro 15x night vision, which we can also film through. It's fast and furious, but 3 foxes in 10 minutes is probably going to help Roy's rehab.
I was surprised they came in this time of year that well to the squeak. It's normally another few weeks, but obviously they're very far advanced with the amount of peacocks and ducks that they've been eating. But we also forget that the real damage they're doing to some of the less visible animals that are out there, so the amphibians and the reptiles, and they will just eat anything. It's not just a benefit to the game shooting, it's not just a benefit to farming, and it is a benefit to all other wildlife, all the ground nesting birds, etc. So it is a very important job.
After that great start, we head to gamekeeper Gary's shoot to see what some freshly cut grass fields will bring. We have a cub 50 yards away from us. Our final fox of the evening falls to Roy. So, a wonderful evening's foxing, and Roy has started on the road to recovery. Great to see Roy emerging unruffled from a bird breeding season. Right from the top of the pecking order to the bottom feeders, it's David on the Fieldsports Channel News Stump.
This is Fieldsports Channel News. Two British field sports enthusiasts are commemorating the Battle of the Somme with a charity walk. John Kavanagh and Richard Walton are walking 100 kilometres in 3 days in memory of field sports employees who served in the Great War. They will walk from the Somme battlefield to the Menin Gate in full hunting and shooting kit. Go to bit.ly/Somme Walk. Commemorations of the Battle of the Somme include a new folk tune called The Gamekeeper.
In Devonshire,
it tells the story of a Devon keeper who goes to the trenches. Acoustic band Show of Hands is currently touring the UK with the song and others from its album Centenary. The presidential campaigns of Clinton and Trump have gone head-to-head over hunting. Speaking on behalf of his father, Donald Trump Jr. explained what his father thinks of gun control. Meanwhile, Congressman Mike Thompson for Hillary Clinton says she has no plans to sell off public lands where people currently go hunting and shooting. Aunties at the 2016 Safari Club International Convention have released a video of what goes on there. It's very like one of our videos of a Safari Club convention, except they blur out the faces to make it look like something illegal is going on. The Humane Society, which made the video, reports that it found nothing illegal at the show. A US military veteran has come to the rescue of a bald eagle that was caught up in a rope up a tree. Jason Galvin and his wife notified the authorities in Rush City, Minnesota, having spotted the eagle dangling high up a tree. But the authorities said it was out of their jurisdiction. So Jason took the matter into his own hands. After 2 hours and 150 shots later to cut through the branch, the eagle was free. And it looks like it's going to make a good recovery. And finally, Taiwan may soon allow deer stalking and deer trapping. A project to reintroduce the deer to Kenting National Park has been so successful they're causing damage. National Donghua University environmental science professor Curtis Pei says changes will need to be made to the Indigenous Peoples Basic Act, the Wildlife Conservation Act and the National Park Act before hunting can be considered an option. You are now up to date with Fieldsports Channel News. Stalking the stories, fishing for facts.
Thank you, David. Now let's see what you lot have been up to. It's Hallo Charlie.
Hello Charlie, brilliant day today. 4 jackdaws and a nice pigeon.
Hello Charlie, it's Liam here. Shot my first crow with my dad.
Hello Charlie, Ollie and Steve here. Just got ourselves another roebuck on a new permission in sunny Somerset.
Hello Charlie, it's EJ from Hook in Hampshire. Just down the farm controlling some of the rabbits with my 17 HMR. Cheers Charlie, keep up the good work.
That's it. Please send me your Hello Charlies via Facebook, YouTube, Dropbox or email charlie@fieldsportschannel.tv. Next up, I've been to the top of the world in Cumbria to look at an extreme dog sport. This is what it's all about. The months of training, the years of breeding, the production, the nurturing of what hound trailers claim are the hardest dogs on earth. This is the moment that the trailer walks in dragging the aniseed, and the slippers let go animals that can run 10 miles over Cumbria's fells in half an hour. That's 20 miles an hour for a full 30 minutes.
They're so strong and so oblivious to pain that it's very difficult to find something wrong with them when there is something wrong with them.
As the hounds run off, we go back to the meet for half an hour where I can find out more about this absorbing, amazing and almost unknown hound sport. Barry Laidler is chairman of the Hound Trailing Association.
It's basically Cumbria. There's another association in the border region and Southern Ireland and Yorkshire. We trail once a night, Monday, Tuesday, very rarely Fridays, Saturday and Sunday. So it's 6 days a week, every night, April to October. And an average, sometimes there's only 10 runners in each trail, sometimes it's 20, 30, it varies. Sport's been over 100 years old. It's based on the foxhounds in summer with exercising because they're hunting in winter and there's something to do in summer, so they're like in a vanilla seed and they run them, and it's developed from then. There's probably some Afghan in them somewhere, there's probably some points in them, I say 100 years ago, and now we've got pedigree trail hounds. Not recognised by clubs, but we call them pedigree because we can trace them back, great-grandfathers, way back in the 1920s.
The sport has its famous followers too.
An amazing sport, and you do have to be fit.
Steve is a well-known fell runner and a record breaker. He has taken his sport as far as Mount Everest.
It was a present for my 60th birthday off my brother, but while we was there we witnessed the worst ever tragedy where 16 Sherpas were killed by an avalanche. We witnessed that, we was there when it happened, and when we came home I vouched to go back to raise some money for the Sherpa children whose fathers got killed that day. So I've just been and done the Everest Marathon. The oldest person in the race, the first person in the world to do it with a pacemaker, so it's a new world record, and here I am tonight, come here to watch trailing and with this chairman who's the best in the world.
He wears in his heart, not somebody running in front of him.
Every race has trailers laying an aniseed trail, a slipper to slip each dog and a catcher to catch it. Here is one of the people at the coalface.
Oh, well, it's like a way of life, really. I mean, I've been in the sport since I was 9-year-old. Once you get hooked in it, that's it. You sort of, you just want to do it forever, really. The dogs themselves are fantastic. That's what the sport's all about, is the dogs.
Training is a long process and a huge commitment of time.
Well, we usually start when the puppies, there's no hard and fast rule. Usually wait until they start showing signs of wanting to hunt themselves. So when they start wanting to use the noses, hunting other things like rabbits and such like, then you can introduce the aniseed scent to them.
How do you get into it? You buy a hound, you get one given. You can come along and you can see somebody that's got maybe 5 or 6 and they'll probably give you one to run. Training them's a problem. You've got to have the land to run them on. You've got to have permission to run them on. You've got to know what you're doing to get them going. There's quite a few of them won't have it. They won't take to it. And we've got a trail hound welfare system where those that aren't good enough, or those that don't want to run, we can rehome them. And if you want to get into trailing, basically you've got to live here. It's a travelling. You can't travel. We had somebody from Glasgow came last week, and it's very keen, but you can't come from Glasgow every night, can you? Or twice, 2, 3 times, 5 times a fortnight's a general rule of thumb. You have to run. If you only run once a week, then your hound doesn't stay fit enough.
A dog has about 4 years at the peak of its form, aged 1 to 5. Before that it's a pup, after that it's a veteran. This is the finish of the seniors race.
Oh, they're coming down now, they're coming down towards the road.
All right.
As they get closer, the catchers start calling them. It's an incredibly exciting finish.
First, second, third, fourth, fifth.
The dogs tuck into their rewards as soon as they can. Then fastest time is announced, just over the half hour. Is that a good time? 30:37?
Yeah.
I talked to the owner of the winning dog, called Endure, and endurance is a top quality in a trailing dog. So what does it take to produce a winning dog?
A lot of luck, good food, and very injury free. You've got to be injury free at this game. They're a tremendous athlete, these dogs. They're I would say the hardest animal that is on the planet because of the injuries and such like they sustain, and they still love to run.
And you said food is a thing. What do you feed him?
Rabbits, chicken, fish, beef, tripe, brown bread, pasta, rice, vegetables. They eat better than me.
If you want to find out more and you're in the Cumbria area, why don't you go along? The Hound Trailing Association publishes its meets online at houndtrailing.org.uk. From dogs to the wider world of hunting and shooting on YouTube, it is Hunting YouTube. This is Hunting YouTube, which aims to show the best hunting and shooting videos that YouTube has to offer. Ryan Dawson sends me this on Facebook from Plucky Wales. Could you put this on Hunting YouTube for me, please? I would be internally grateful, he writes. Steady on, Ryan, but good film, wherever you feel it. NZ Wild Things offers a nip of boar on the rocks with a dash of ice water. They are wild pig hunting with dogs in Otago, New Zealand. Bring one to bay nicely and end up fishing for the carcass as it disappears underwater. Here is a drum I like to bang. Why can't the rest of the world, especially my part of the UK, be more like the United States Game and Parks departments? Here is the state of Nebraska releasing pheasants for its citizens to shoot and boasting about it on YouTube. That's it, I'm moving to Nebraska. A little bit touchy-feely, an ordinary YouTuber goes out after rabbits with some mates in southern Nevada. They are at pains to point out that the meat is donated to homeless families in the Las Vegas area, which I would call a bit Joyce Grenfell, lovely rabbit. Also rabbit hunting in the USA is Manny CA. It is a quick morning scout in search of dinner on the second day of the rabbit season, which at this time of year in California can mean only a few hours outdoors as it soon gets too hot to be out in the sun. Staying warm, Keith Warren is on a spot and stalk zebra crossbow hunt, whether you love bow hunting or hate it. His films remain excellent and he tackles subjects that are becoming increasingly controversial. This should bring the temperature back down. German hunting magazine Jaeger magazine puts out this film of hunting in the wintertime, ordinary weather for Germany. And finally, stick a thermometer in the mouths of sporting shooters worldwide this week and it comes out on why is my government giving me such a hard time? Step forward Randy Newberg, who makes this film an impassioned plea about why he hunts and how conservation is a vital part of that why. That's it for this week. If you have a YouTube film you would like us to pop into the weekly top 8, send it in via YouTube or email me the link, charlie@fieldsportschannel.tv. Well, if you don't like those, how about this? It's Club Digweed. In this month's Club Digweed, George is at E.J. Churchill's with one of the newest members of the England shooting team, Emily Hibbs. George doesn't want to change her technique, but Emily is happy for George to offer some advice to help find that all-important consistency.
No, so this is going to be your line. So that is your line completely. Rather than your weight, so my line is here.
George also does a full skeet round with the shot cam with some really impressive results. It's all in this month's Club Digweed. To subscribe or download the latest show, go to georgedigweed.com. George's secrets on screen for all to see there. And we have some other top clay shots in our show, Clay Sports. The Beretta Worlds, we have all the action, come rain or shine. We find out how they set up a double trap layout for the Rio Olympic Games. Plus, Clay's on the brain. Henry Hopking has another tip to keep your mind on the game.
When someone closes the gun and brings the gun up, sometimes people go pull, and other times it might be pull.
Well, that's it for this week. If you haven't done so already, please go to our website, Fieldsports Channel.tv. You can click to like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, pop your email address into our constant contact box on the register page, and we'll constantly contact you about this show, Fieldsports Britain. It's at 7 p.m. UK time every Wednesday, and this has been Fieldsports Britain. Good hunting, good shooting, good fishing, and goodbye.